Welcome to What's Up, Bolts? I'm Fernando Ramirez. That cowboy hat wearing, sunglass donning son of a gun is Dan and Dago. No Whiskey Sour Wednesday this week for him.
We're on a 2-week streak. We're on a 2-week streak. Let's keep it going.
Why was that, though?
Why was that? Because your boy was in the building when the Chargers took care of business with that boom bomb that the son of Odin, God of Lightning, threw to Mike Williams. Mike Dubs, shout out. That was amazing. And then Cameron, no, what's his name? Dicker the kicker. Is his first name Cameron?
Cameron Dicker, yeah.
Oh, so I was right. Yeah, Dicker the kicker nailed that game winner. Thank the gods above. 2-win streak. Let's freaking go, dude.
And obviously, going back to that, I guess Ryan Tannehill's not doing too well. They're saying he might be done for the season. That's pretty interesting there. Well, done for the rest
of to think about, right? Because he finished the game.
Well, it's not just him. Like, also, like, look at Jalen Hurts and look at some of these other quarterbacks that aren't able to finish the year because of but Ryan Tannehill, we've always known he's been tough. Like, he was tough when he was with the Dolphins. He was tough. He's been tough with the Titans, so he's always been a tough guy. So interesting to see how he does moving forward, and then how the Titans do, because the Titans have they still have something to fight for. I mean, they're fighting for the division, like we said this week on regular COMPAS. Obviously they still have something to I give my thought that I think that Sunday night game is going to be Jags at Titans at Jags for the division matchup. But without Ryan Tannehill, I don't think that might come true, because Tannehill at least gives you a fighting chance. Malik Willis, we haven't seen much from him, but obviously that's
shaky every time he's in there. Very shaky.
That's a point for another day. Guys, do not forget, help us get to 200 subscribers, because the COMPAS have teamed up with Homage shirts, obviously, and Gilberto right now, he came on that. Oh, look at that. Dan and Dago has one right now. Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert.
Little preview to my X Factor right here for later in the program.
So we've teamed up with Homage, and they've been taking care of us. Here's the link below to get your Chargers gear.
Silky smooth shirts.
Dan and Dago, you know what's funny? Dan and Dago, since he was a kid, he's been really picky when it comes to shirts. Like, I remember my mom used to get so mad at him. You know how Mexican moms are. Ponte la camisa, and she would get mad at him and everything. And Dad's like, Dan, when he was a kid, it's Ishi, and like he would say that it was always Ishi, so he wouldn't wear it. And Dan, and to his credit, he was so hard-headed, he would take off the damn shirt and throw it on the ground. Well, he's not doing that with these Homage shirts. He loves him some Homage shirts. So
big facts. These are now my game day fits now. As the kids talk about the drip, the drops, whatever it is, these are now my game day fits whenever I'm blessed to go to a game. I'm amped up. I'll let everybody know with the best brand possible. What
is it? Ishi? No Ishi?
No Ishi. No Ishi at all. It feels great against my skin. You know, sometimes when you get shirts in the mail for now, you got to wash them first to make them feel comfortable. This you could put straight in out of the, I guess the bag or the box or whatever it came into, right? I don't even have to wash it first. I just put it straight on. It was so comfortable. You guys already saw last week. I had that shirt on. I had that helmet shirt on for Sunday. It was absolutely wonderful. I love these shirts.
And don't forget, Gilberto has a Justin Herbert t-shirt that we are giving away. Once we hit 200 subscribers and you comment "What's up, Bolts" on the videos, we will be giving out that t-shirt to one of our lucky subscribers. So don't forget, get us to 200 and we'll be giving out a free t-shirt. So that'll be something pretty cool, especially right now during the holiday season. I'm sure people will love that, but don't forget to go check out Homage. They've teamed up with your COMPAS. Let them know the COMPAS sent you, and they have some pretty cool gear right now. But all right, it's time to get back to the Chargers game this week. They don't play on Christmas Eve.
Thank God.
They don't play on Christmas Day.
Thank God.
They play on Monday Night Football on the 26th of December, the day after Christmas.
Go!
So, some little breaking news that came out on Wednesday morning. Matt Ryan will not be the quarterback. Sam Ehlinger, we remember Sam Ehlinger. Hey, Longhorn Nation, we're back. back.
I wonder where they went after that.
Hey, by the way, before I announce who the starting quarterback will be, Manning, what's his name? Not the kid. Arch Manning. He signed with Texas, officially signed. So he will be headed to the Longhorn. That's going to be I'm going to be watching that kid. That's going to be interesting to watch. But
USC, Colorado, those are the teams you're going to be watching out for sure.
Exactly. Nick Foles will be the starter. On Sunday or on Monday for the Colts. And don't forget, this game will be on prime time again. I know it's funny. Last weekend, Dan and I were getting ready to go to the stadium. Like, we were getting ready on Saturday. Like, obviously, we were going to go Sunday, but Saturday we were packing everything. He's like, "Hey, what time do we need to leave?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "I don't even know." Like, the Chargers have been on prime time so many times in LA that it had been a while since I had to pack to
for a regular 1 o'clock
game. But they will be on Monday Night Football. It'll be an interesting matchup because, like I said, Nick Foles will be the starter. There's not a lot to, and some of you must be going, "Wait, Nick Foles is still in the league?" Yes, he is.
That was me.
No, but okay. When do you think is the last time he threw a pass?
Probably for who was he before this?
No. When?
We're in 22. I would say 20, maybe.
21. He threw 20. He only played in one game in 2021, and that was against the Seattle Seahawks. He went 24 for 35, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, was sacked 4 times.
Damn.
And and that's basically it. He didn't he lost a fumble.
Damn.
So that's going to be interesting. Nick Foles that was his only pass. The last time he played a full season was in
probably the year after.
Okay, so in 2020 he only played 9 games. He went 4 or 5, 1,852 yards, 10 touchdowns, 8 picks, nothing, sacked 18 times.
Yeah.
Nothing really special when it comes to Nick Foles post Philadelphia Eagles. We all know what he did in Philadelphia, and
can't take it away. It doesn't matter.
Super Bowl run. He was an X factor. He did everything right. He put everything together. But I guess Jeff Saturday decided to go with him, and supposedly he's going to go with him the rest of the season. So I don't know. I mean, and like we all know, Jeff Saturday is not going to be the head coach next year. They're going to bring somebody else in. The Colts. And by the way, I almost gave this away. I know I'm saying by the way a lot today, but I just keep on remembering things. Good friend Brennan King joined the show today. Great guy. I met him when I was in South Bend. He works for the South Bend Cubs, which is the Chicago Cubs single A affiliate. He's a great guy, an announcer for them. He also works for 107.5 The Fan in Indy. So he covers the Indianapolis Colts as well during the season. Great guy. Brendan is honestly one of the few people that I met out in Indy that in South Bend that I really right away, we just got along and everything. I told him I only need you for 15 minutes. I ended up taking how much? I ended up taking 30 minutes, 25 minutes of his time. So we'll get to him pretty soon. He's a great guy. He has a lot of info. He talks about everything that happened from when Andrew Luck retires to Phillip Rivers coming into the building. Then what happened with Carson Wentz and everything. So he explains a little bit about everything that has happened and what's going on. And the Colts need to go get a quarterback, but it might be a little bit difficult because obviously they don't have a coach. They don't have a direction right now. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. But Dan, what do you make of Nick Foles being the starting quarterback on Monday night?
I think what Jeff Saturday's trying to do, honestly, he already took it. I think he started Sam Ehlinger also at one point, didn't he, or no?
No, that's what
Frank
Reich did.
Okay, well, basically, he has seen already both quarterbacks. He knew he didn't like the young gun in Sam Ehlinger. He knew he didn't like, the savvy vet and Matt Ryan or whatever. So he's like, what the hell? If they have him on the practice squad or wherever they have him, they were like, might as well take a chance on this guy. See what he's got. You know what I'm saying?
You know what he's been doing?
What?
He's been the practice squad quarterback. He hasn't even taken snaps during practice. He's been the practice squad quarterback. He's not on the practice squad. He's on the regular roster, but he's been taking the reps as the scout team quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, might as well change it up, give it a new look, see if they can at least get something going to win the last few games. Because right now they're playing for pride, Frown. They're playing for pride because they already probably, if Jeff Saturday's motivator, I would be printing out everything that everybody's saying about that 33, letting the Vikings come back and everything else, that debacle, and be like, you guys right now are the laughing stock of the league, fellas. And if I'm in that room, this is what I'm saying right now. What better way to shut them all up than to beat a playoff contending team? To screw up the bracket. That's all you're trying to play now, is trying to be a bracket buster. Because I don't even think they have first round picks, right? Because they traded them to Atlanta for Matt Ryan.
Let me check right now.
Either way, the whole point is they're a mess right now in Indianapolis. Andrew Luck, since he left, they have not been able to find the guy. And now it's suffering because last year, they were, relatively stable, I believe. And, they just choked at the end. This year, it's like their best players have barely been on the field at all. Trust me, I know, because I'm, what's his name? Jonathan Taylor. I have him on my fantasy team. That one's hurt me a lot all season.
They have the 6th overall pick.
Oh, they do have a first round pick?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, there you go. So they at least got something going. But it's going to be a hard offseason because right now, seriously, if you're in the Colts building or Jim Irsay, Frown, are you keeping the GM?
No, you have to. You can't do any of that. You have to fire him. You have to fire. Well, Saturday is going to go back to ESPN. You can't keep everybody, and that's what a mistake that I think certain teams have made sometimes, that they keep a general manager too long, and it's like, okay, they get stuck at a point where you're like, okay, well, do you fire him, or sometimes you have to just start over, and the Colts need to start all over again.
100%.
You can tell Jim Irsay is a little frustrated, or very frustrated. You can tell the franchise is frustrated. And the thing is that the last 2 weeks they've been embarrassed. 100%. I mean, let me see, last 2 weeks. So this is how it's well. They took it to Philly a couple of weeks ago, 17-16. They lost.
I think they were up in that game also.
Jeff Saturday's first game, 25-20 against the Raiders. Then they take it to Philly, 17-16. They lose. Then they lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24-17. Then they get blown out by Dallas, 54-19.
Good God.
And then Minnesota obviously came back and beat them 39-36. So that's the thing. The last 2 weeks have been terrible for the Colts. And I just don't know how they're going to be able to rebound from that, especially because they're starting Nick Foles again, like I said. I just don't know how they're going to be able to rebound from that. I get what you're saying about trying to tell these guys, oh, hey, you're embarrassed, you're this, you're that. 100%. I just don't know how they're going to be able to rebound from this, especially because I don't know how that's the thing in the building. I don't know how some of these guys feel about Jeff Saturday as the coach.
100%.
And then you don't know how they feel about Matt Ryan being the quarterback, and because I know that some guys didn't like that, and it came out after the season that they didn't like Carson Wentz. They didn't believe in Carson Wentz. That Carson Wentz was different. That he had a weird attitude. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So obviously we won't know about anything until the season's over, but. This game is interesting. I mean, it could easily be a trap game for the Chargers.
100%, especially because we've seen it before. We've seen it before where they're, last year, because we're not going to talk about years past, but last year, you're in the 6th, 7th seed. I don't remember which. You have the Texans, the Raiders, and I think some other whatever team left. In your last 3 games, you essentially went 1-2 and missed the playoffs. You were playing down to opponents, COVID or not. No excuses because everybody's got to be ready. Next man up mentality. Everybody's got to be ready to play. COVID or not, you trade victories and then you're playing down to opponents and you lose the last 2 essentially, I think, and you miss the playoffs, and you can't do that. You can't do that this year. And what we've seen in some of these games offensively, scoring 17, 14 points, that's not going to be enough, especially when you're playing real competition.
No, and I completely agree with you. So I mean, and that's the problem. We'll get to that on the back end of this. We'll preview the game and get to more of that. Now let's go to Brendan King and see what have him talk about the Colts side and what's been going wrong with the Colts all season. Because Jonathan Taylor, like you said, will not play this game. He is out. He's on IR.
Fantasy. Not happy about that.
They put him on IR, so he's done for the year. Obviously, Shaquille Leonard will not play in this game as well. Like, a lot of these guys are hurting now for a lot of good players, but Indy still has guys like DeForest Buckner, guys like Stephon Gilmore. They have some tough guys. So it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. But let's go to Brandon King now and see what he has to say from the Colts side. Folks, this is Indy week. The Chargers are facing the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. I had to get a little bit of a blast from the past. When I was in South Bend, I met this awesome guy named Brendan King. He's with the South Bend Cubs baseball affiliate, and he also does work covering the Colts for 107.5 The Fan in Indy. And he texted me. He's like, "Hey, can you jump on the show?" I'm like, "Dude, jump on my show." I was like, "I got to get you on." Brendan, thank you so much for jumping on. So awesome to reconnect with you. You were one of the guys that you knew everything about everything. We connected so well. You were honestly one of the people that I really enjoyed talking to in South Bend, and you're the man. So I appreciate you jumping on.
Fernando, the feeling is mutual. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, man, South Bend, that I know you got to crank out a couple stories with the South Bend Cubs too while you were there. So that was awesome. And, it's these are the moments that you went back to the Chargers for to get the Colts after the biggest comeback in NFL history.
And you know what? We got to start there, man. I was telling you off camera that I just couldn't believe what had happened just because it's rarely talked about it. And those kind of comebacks happen in the playoffs or something crazy like when Frank Reich did it with the Buffalo Bills. And I remember that was always the standard, that game. Just what happened last Saturday? What could you put your finger on?
I mean, I wish that I could have been in the press box for it just to get the reaction of a lot of people here, because if there's one thing about people that cover the Colts, a lot of them that are in the press box on a weekly basis have been literally covering the team since they drove over from Baltimore. So you definitely get, just like any other NFL team probably, you definitely get some people that are more passionate than others when it comes to covering the team, but especially the Colts, just because a lot of them have known the Irsays since, again, they made the drive from Baltimore. What I will say, though, is we as like a collective media unit just have not had the same feeling about this team heading into this year as maybe years past. I mean, Fernando, to be honest with you, I've not been on the Colts coverage that long in the grand scheme of things. I mean, maybe since I graduated in 2017. So really that was the start of the Frank Reich era, right? Because I sat through the lasting days of Chuck Pagano. I was a senior in college at Butler, and I was Dan.
Oh, so you were there during the Josh McDaniel, handshake, and then turns around and jumps on the jet and dips out?
Yeah, I wasn't like in the building per se.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing sports updates on the morning that McDaniels ghosted everybody and said bye, and then they went to Reich. So I mean, just brutal. And like Fernando, it's one of those things. I'll get back to the game here in a second, but like, Frank Reich gets fired, and probably you would imagine Chris Ballard's going to be on the same wavelength now, the Colts GM, just because, look, Jim Irsay gave Frank Reich a vote of confidence 2 weeks before he fired him. Then you get blown out in New England 26-3, or you already had a disaster performance in week 2 getting shut out by Jacksonville. So getting Irsay's trust around these times is not the biggest support factor. It can really change at any time. So we're under the impression that things are going to start fresh. When it comes to the game, the Jeff Saturday stuff, Fernando, was just maddening to hear about. Just like everybody else. I don't think we got the same reaction around here than what Bill Cowher said. I know that all went viral, right?
Yeah.
But let me turn off my notifications.
Popular guy.
What's up?
Popular guy, I'm telling you.
Sorry. But with the Saturday stuff, Bill Cowher said what he said, and there's no coaching experience. I think Rex Ryan even has gotten under him on ESPN in the last couple of weeks. But that game, you're just up and you're like, man, things are going a little too well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right?
He beat the Raiders in his first game, I think.
Yeah. He did beat the Raiders.
And ever since then, I think they've been on a losing streak, if I'm not mistaken.
They've lost every game since that Raiders game, which is, Fernando, I don't think you can write a better script than what has happened since Saturday took over, because He wins his first game after he said the Raiders are trash on national television. He beat Josh McDaniels, who, again, we just talked about, ghosted the Colts. And then now, as of late, he just gives up the biggest comeback in NFL history, 33 points. And as you said, the guy that previously earned that record was the guy that they fired months ago, Frank Reich. So we said on the show yesterday, I hope, you know what, Frank was a great guy. I hope Frank had a nice little glass of whiskey. I hope Frank had a nice little cigar. And you say, the record's yours now, boys.
You know what? I actually met Frank when he was in San Diego.
Yeah.
The last few years that they were down here, he was a good guy. He got a lot of flack because the offense was a little stagnant at times. And then he goes to Philly, and you just see the way in Philly, like the offense flows so well, and you're like, well, what happened in San Diego that the offense couldn't flow as well? But then you see some of the pieces that the Chargers had at that time, and you're like, well, yeah, that's why it couldn't flow. So he did some good. He's done some great stuff. I don't think he'll be gone all that long. I think he'll just take a year off, and he'll probably be back quickly. But going back to the whole Jeff Saturday stuff, were you guys also taken back when the news broke?
For sure. I did want to comment on Reich really quick that because again, I caught the end of the Pagano era and then the McDaniel stuff, and then they give Reich the job. Frank never really had something good dealt to him. I mean, the guy was getting 16 on 10s every single week, it felt like, at the blackjack table.
This shouldn't even be his quarterback. Matt Ryan shouldn't be his quarterback.
Exactly.
Andrew Luck should be his quarterback. I mean, and I'm not saying Andrew can do whatever he wants. He decided that he was done. His body couldn't take it anymore. Hey, kudos to you. You decided to do something that not a lot of people would have done. So congratulations, you went off. But Frank Reich was supposed to come in and coach Andrew Luck. Unfortunately, that's just not the way the game has kind of gone for him. And unfortunately, that they've had 4 or 5 quarterbacks since Andrew's been in there. So
yeah, it's you know what? Since Luck retired, it has been Scott Tolzien, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now Matt Ryan. But I will say,
Wentz, the only man that can sprain both of his ankles on one play.
I know, but to get a little Chargers connection, I mean, when Rivers was here, that was my first year covering the team, like truly covering the team for the fan, and I loved it. But unfortunately, that was COVID, so we only got to know Phil over Zoom, which was unfortunate because, I mean, the guy is just a legend. I will say about Phil, if there is a quarterback of all those that I just mentioned in Frank Reich's tenure that did the best job, it's Phil. The guy took you to a playoff game, nearly had the Buffalo Bills beat on the road, by the way.
He did.
Then,
there were a couple of drops because there were drops. There were a couple of drops away from upsetting Buffalo.
Pittman had a key drop that really lost that game. But I will say about Phil, he completed 69.5% or so of his passes, which is remarkable for a guy as old as him. That was the best single season completion percentage in Colts history since Peyton in 2009. So Rivers came in here and did some good stuff.
Yeah.
We were having this debate yesterday on the show between Wentz and Ryan. I mean, God bless Matt Ryan. He's gotten zero protection. Jonathan Taylor's been hurt. He has 0 weapons. Michael Pittman really is the only guy out there that's been consistent. Alec Pierce, the rookie, has had flashes, but he's just not a number 2 yet. So God bless Matt Ryan, but unfortunately he has nothing to help him, and then he hasn't played well. So go ahead.
I personally thought if the Colts would have kept Rivers one more year, Jonathan Taylor would have had the year that he had. I think the Colts might have made it to the AFC Championship the following. That's why I thought it was so weird when Phillips was like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go coach." And then he still hasn't. Phillip Rivers hasn't officially retired yet from the NFL. So that's been the most I pushed a couple of weeks ago when Jimmy G got hurt. I'm like, there's a guy in Alabama who's just he's coaching Gunner. He's coaching his son. I mean, why not? Maybe give him a call, bring him in here. Obviously, I got some flack for that one. But I mean, why not keep him one more year? See what you have with him. The Carson Wentz stuff was just bad. And then obviously Jim Irsay uses good jet on him. Like, why not bring in Phillip one more year and try and run it back and see what you would have had? But I understand why, because Phillip is up there in age and everything. But the Carson Wentz I didn't think that was gonna work.
No, I mean, to be fair, Carson had 27 touchdowns and 7 picks, but he did have the moments that just were blasphemous. You talk about the left-handed shovel pass interception at the goal line against Tennessee. You mentioned how bad he played in those last 2 games when you literally all you had to do was beat one of the Raiders or the Jaguars, and you couldn't do it. So his tenure in Indy,
and you were at home for the Colts or for the Raiders game.
Yep. I mean, that's all he had to do. About Rivers, man, like I don't know this for a fact, but I have been told in the past by somebody I trust that the Colts were expecting him to be back, and he jumped ship and decided to go elsewhere, and that has led to a lot of speculation that maybe he saw some of this coming. And because look, I don't think the Colts are the biggest disaster in the NFL right now. I think that belongs to the Panthers, but it's damn close. I mean, it's pretty darn close. But man, there's been a lot of speculation. Maybe Rivers is smarter than all of us. He was like, you know what? I saw some of this in 2020 when COVID was hitting, and I wanted to get out of there. And that's what a lot of us are thinking now because Frank Reich's gone. Chris Ballard's probably on his way out, and the Colts are going to be GM-less heading into the NFL draft when they need a quarterback.
Yeah, no, and I don't blame them. And that's another crazy thing. They still have Matt Ryan under contract for 1 more year, correct?
So that's why everybody has been just shocked he's been playing, because if the guy gets hurt and you got to give him cash, that's $14 million that you got to give him. So nobody knows why he's still playing. Because the playoff chances as of last week were
14 million. I'll do it for less.
Yeah,
here I'm gonna warm up the arm. I'll do it for less.
I'll be your offensive coordinator. I'll be your offensive coordinator for God's sake.
There you go.
But nobody knows why he's still playing because the playoff chances last week were at 3%. Jeff Saturday continuously says that he thinks Ryan gives him his best chance to win. Which again, respect to Ryan, that he played pretty darn good first half, but it's not totally on it. I mean, it's not totally on Matt Ryan. 28-3 happened. It's not totally on Matt Ryan that 33 points happened in the second half. But that's going to be attached to him for the rest of his career, clearly. The Colts have Sam Ehlinger, who they started for 2 games when Ryan got benched midseason by Frank Reich. And then Saturday comes in, goes back to Matt Ryan. And they also have this fella named Nick Foles. So
that's why I wanted to see play.
I know, man. It's been wild because again, like if Ryan gets hurt, you're gonna have to pay the guy $14 million. Ehlinger has not dressed over the last few weeks. Foles has been the backup, but Ryan and Foles give you the exact same thing, Fernando. So we're all a little shocked that Ehlinger has not been dressing just because this is clearly a lost season. It's over. And you probably need to see what you have in Ehlinger. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the league, but can you figure out if he's a backup in the league? Because the games that you gave him, he nearly beat the Washington Commanders, which is not saying a lot, but he nearly did it in his NFL debut. And then they gave him absolutely no shot in New England when you lose 26-3 because Bill Belichick's game planning against a rookie quarterback in Frank Reich's last game when Reich had it was over. So you gave him no shot, and now he's not dressing. So there's been some decisions over the last couple months that have been a little head-scratching.
By the way, I was one of those that advocated for Hard Knocks in season to turn around and say, what do we want here from Arizona? Do a 180 turn around, 360 turn around, and go to Indy and keep on doing Indy. When Jeff Saturday was announced, I'm like, dude, if I was Hard Knocks, I'd pull out of Arizona so quickly and I'd run to Indy. I'd be like, I want to see what these guys are gonna do with the rest of their season. Those numbers, that like Matthew McConaughey said, them are rookie numbers. Let's get them up. Let's pump them up. That's what I would have done.
Me too, man. I mean, I thought that was pretty entertaining last year from the Colts.
No, it was.
But it's kind of funny because I think Carson Wentz is a pretty dry guy. Frank Reich was a pretty dry guy too, but it was still pretty good Hard Knocks. I mean, if I'm Hard Knocks, I'm in Arizona. I'm like, Kyler's hurt. They suck. What's going on?
Yeah, but some of the stuff that they've gotten off of Kyler and Cliff, you're like, dude, this might be a disaster down here too. And I think their GM is taking time off now because I think something I don't remember, but I think their GM is taking time off now, and I'm like, whoa, dude. I'm like, this is crazy. The defense actually been pretty good. They've got some playmakers on that defense. DeForest Buckner. I remember he was linked to the Chargers back in his draft. Big dude. He was a big part of the 49ers defensive line. He's a big part here in Indy, I'm sure. Obviously Shaquille Griffin Shaquille Griffin. Shaquille. I can't get him by his first Shaquille Leonard. I don't know why I can't do that. He hasn't played almost at all this season.
Yeah.
But there's some. I like the secondary. Stephon Gilmore. God, I can't remember some of the other players, but I know they have 23. I think is a good corner.
Kenny Moore.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. He's a baller. But just can you talk a little bit about the defense?
Yeah, I mean it's Gus Bradley's first year, so there were some changes going into last year.
Former Chargers defensive coordinator.
What's that?
Former Chargers defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Gus was awesome to get to know at training camp. I really enjoyed talking to him when I did.
I've never heard one negative thing said about Gus.
No, he's fantastic dude, which is kind of refreshing because I'm not, and this is not personally, by the way. This is just as a football coach perspective. I was not a Matt Eberflus guy. I think Eberflus was getting fired last year, and then somehow, some way, he got the Chicago Bears job. I mean, the guy lost to the Raiders and the Jaguars on back-to-back weeks with a chance to make the playoffs. You let the Jaguars, and not this year's Jaguars, last year's Jaguars, embarrass you on the road in that Week 18 game. I personally, Fernando, I thought Frank Reich should have been fired at that point. I thought that was a fireable offense. They brought him back, and look what happened. But about Eberflus, being a Chicago guy originally, I can't believe he got the Bears job. That's what I was telling you. I was trying to tell all my friends, like, you remember those bus conversations you had with your friends on the way to school? I called everybody I knew and said, there's no way that this guy is the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Respect to him. He inherited Justin Fields. That's a good thing. And I wish him the best because he's a nice guy. I just could not believe he got the Bears job. About the defense, though, Gus Bradley.
You would just think that because you have Justin Fields and he still needs to grow, he still needs to learn, you think that would get an offensive mind in there.
You are preaching to the choir about I'm not even a big Bears fan. I'm just a Chicago guy. I'm like, what are you doing? But hey, God bless him, and I hope he does well. But Gus Bradley coming in, I think it took a little bit for them to get adjusted to what he wanted to do from what Eberflus wanted to do. But you're right. I mean, DeForest Buckner has been a stud. Grover Stewart, other defensive tackle. I mean, he got his money and he's played exceptionally well. I think Grover Stewart has been a major problem for inside offensive linemen. And this is the Ballard approach, Fernando. I mean, Chris Ballard has repeatedly said that he does not value skill positions when it comes to drafting them early. And he loves to build from the inside out when it comes to offensive linemen and defensive linemen. If you remember, in 2021, the Colts had an opportunity to probably fix their left tackle problems. They still don't have a legitimate left tackle. They had Eric Fisher last year. They started this year with Matt Pryor, who came over from Philadelphia. Matt Pryor is kind of a plug-and-play guy. He can play every offensive line position. The problem is he doesn't do it well. And then Bernard Ryman, who they did draft this past year, who has not been ready, has really gone through some growing pains. They've been starting him, the young guy now, but they've been living with some problems over the last month or so, which is fine now that you're out of it. I do want to see younger guys in where they're playing Will Fries, the Penn State kid, now at right guard. But defensively, in 2021, instead of drafting a first-round left tackle, they could have had Darisaw from Minnesota. They could have had Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. Chose not to. They drafted two straight pass rushers. They drafted Kwity Paye and they drafted Dio Dengbo. Kwity Paye has been up and down, hurt this year, the Michigan kid. He's massive human being. He's got all the tools, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Dio Dengbo, he was drafted with a torn Achilles, so it took him a year plus even to get on the practice field.
Oh, he's a kid from the Michigan. No, from Michigan?
Paye is the kid from Michigan. I believe Odengbo, I can't tell you where he went to school, but off the top of my head. But they drafted him with a torn Achilles. So it took him a year plus even to get on the field. So instead of drafting a left tackle, they've chosen to build this defensive line. Nobody has been able to stay healthy. They traded for Yannick Ngakoue from Las Vegas. They sent Rock Yassin over there for Ngakoue. Ngakoue has had some problems this year just getting to the quarterback. At times, you kind of forget he's out there. So Ballard's approach with the defensive line, Buckner and Stewart have been great, but on the edges, they just haven't been explosive enough. You mentioned Gilmore. I had a chance to meet him about a month ago, and he was spectacular to talk to. Guy is a stud. I mean, he's an all-pro, and everything anybody says about him is true. He's a great dude. Same thing for Kenny Moore, the slot corner. Unfortunately, he's been hurt. He actually almost had a holdout during training camp because he wanted a new contract, but he had 2 years left on his deal. So
he deserves it.
Yeah, no, he did deserve it, but he had 2 years left on his deal. So he was hold out. And then Ballard was like, bro, I mean, you got 2 years left. We're not doing this. And then I think he finally realized that it wasn't happening. So he came back. On the other side of the corner, it's Isaiah Rodgers, who also returns kicks. Rodgers has been solid. The year started with Brandon Faison, a veteran, playing in front of Rodgers. And then Gus Bradley, I think, started taking some heat. And then he went to Rodgers. At safety, really, really, really good young player named Rodney Thomas, who the Colts drafted out of Yale. He's been great playing as a rookie. Julian Blackmon plays at the other safety, and Blackmon really is turning into what a lot of people that I talk to think is eventually going to be an all-pro if he stays healthy. Linebackers, as you said, Leonard has been hurt. That has been the story over the last few years. Guy has just not been able to stay healthy, stay on the field. He's had multiple back problems, knee, leg. I mean, it's really added up. But people in California probably know the name Bobby Okereke, Stanford kid. He is not only one of the smartest football players I've ever talked to, he is a physical force. He's done a great job in place of Leonard. Zaire Franklin, who is also kind of covering Leonard's tracks. He's one of the NFL leaders in tacklers. And then E.J. Speed has played some good football as well, Fernando. So defense has been good. They were not good in the second half last week. They were not good in the fourth quarter against Dallas. And the last couple of weeks have been tough for the Colts defense.
Last question for me. Do you feel like that loss on Saturday deflates the Colts for the rest of the season, or do you think it pumps them up?
Well, if they want a job next year, better pump it up. Because if I'm Frank Reich, if I'm Jim Irsay, if I'm Frank Reich, I'm drinking whiskey and smoking cigars.
There you go.
If I'm Jim Irsay, I am taking every single coach and every single player one by one into my office. I don't care how long it takes. Have it be a week to end the season. I'm bringing every single player, staff member, coach, whatever, into my office. I'm figuring out if they're a winner or a loser. If they're a loser, I'm getting them out of town, because there's been seemingly a loser mentality over the last couple years that, okay, we did this, but we still got embarrassed in the fourth. Okay, we put up 33 points in the first half, then we gave up 36 or 39, whatever. Irsay's just got to figure out what he has. And initially, when he brought on Saturday, my thoughts were that I didn't think Irsay trusted anybody in that locker room, and he wanted to bring on somebody he trusted
Agreed.
Saturday to tell him what the hell is going on. Well, unfortunately, Saturday has not been a good coach, but he'll tell you like it is, which is what Frank Reich did not do. Frank was such a player's coach that he would never call them out publicly. I don't think Saturday necessarily will, but Saturday will at least tell you who he's pissed at. And he's going to report back to Irsay. So if I'm Irsay,
keeping a list, checking it twice,
gonna
find out who's balling and who's not nice.
Saturday clause, truly.
Yeah. That's the way you just made it seem right now. That song started popping up in my head. That's why I had to sing it.
It's just, they got to figure out who's committed to winning, because there have been way too many guys that have passed through the last few years that have just been comfortable with quitting. It's just been tough.
Agreed. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for joining. What's up, Bolts? I appreciate it so much. Let the good folks know where they can find you on Twitter and Instagram, and even if you have TikTok.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what. My Twitter is at BKingSports. The Instagram is at Brendan King Show. That's the same for TikTok, and we just got 10,000 followers on TikTok. So,
Oh dang, really?
yeah, appreciate everybody. It's been fun.
I need to step on my. I'm at 600, and
Okay.
that's only the WWE was out here for WrestleMania, and I just started throwing videos out there, and I gained like overnight like 500 followers. I'm like, okay, I guess my shtick is now WWE. So I guess I'm gonna be doing a lot of that coming up. So because WrestleMania is out here in LA, so it's gonna be covering that. So that'll be a lot of fun. But I appreciate what were you gonna say?
I'm not a big wrestling guy anymore, but who's your favorite growing up?
Man, you know what's funny? I'm actually wearing a John. My brother got me a John Cena shirt. But honestly, growing up, my first one was The Undertaker. The Undertaker freaked me out when I was like growing up. When I was a kid, he would freak me out. But I'm like, dude, I love watching this guy. And then he was the only one that would never take a break. So it's like everybody else would go off and do all that. The Undertaker was always there. So it was The Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, because he's from San Diego, was one of my big ones too. So yeah, I gotta say them. I like Cena, Edge, like some of these guys. I like a lot of the wrestlers.
See, like I said, I was a huge wrestling fan growing up. Kind of drifted away from it, but Edge. Like I realized he was supposed to be a bad guy, but that guy was a stud.
Oh, he was awesome,
absolute stud. The stuff he did was unreal. So
that's like stuff that like you were like. Yeah, you're like, oh my god, he's dating the hot chick. Yeah. He's doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing. You're like, he's like, they're like, no, this is bad. The WWE's like, no, this is bad. No, it's good. Yeah, it's awesome. We love it. Exactly. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate you so much, and have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and your loved ones. I appreciate you jumping on so much.
Fernando, I appreciate you. You're a great friend. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year. And we will talk to you on The Fan coming up in just a couple days.
Dan, great stuff from Brendan. Obviously, like I told you, he was going to break it down. He had a lot of really good information. The Colts are reeling. And I mean, I know that they have so many needs. Like that offensive line needs to get rebuilt. And it's crazy to think that it was rebuilt a couple of years ago for Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's no longer there. Phillip Rivers, like we said, Phillip was the team that that was a team that the Colts had that almost made it all. Like they were a couple of plays away from beating the Bills in that wild card game. And if they beat the Bills, they could probably knock out the Chiefs. They could probably do a lot of damage. But obviously they ended up losing to the Bills. But just it's crazy to see what the Colts have gone from to what they are now.
100%, 0 to 100. It's been happening. You remember they were riding that high after Peyton left, because they came back the year they went to the AFC Championship. I think they came back, at the Chiefs when they were down 24-0 or something like that. And they made it, and that's history. That was the year of the Deflategate and everything. And then now here you are, back to square one. You have no idea where the hell the wind is blowing or whatever. That way your ship can go that way. You have no idea. You're just stuck in a rut. You're going in circles.
And the question is too, like, what are they going to do? Quarterback. What are they going to what are they going to get in the draft? A quarterback? Are they going to go offensive lineman? Like, that's the thing. And then you don't even know what kind of coach they're going to bring in. Offensive minded, defensive minded. Like that's the real
biggest issue. Yeah,
exactly. So they have a lot of issues that they're going to need to patch up. But Dan, let's see. What do we want to go with? Do we want to have Dan review film, or do we want to go with one of Dan's heroes trying to break his heart? Which one do you want to go with?
Oh my God, both of these sound terrible. Oh, actually, no, the film sounds fine. Let's go. Who's trying to break my heart?
All right, Dan. There's been somebody was trying to conspire against you.
No,
they wanted to conspire against you winning and possibly making the playoffs.
Who's Brutus?
Thank you for joining us, man. In against the Colts, you can break an NFL record for 6 straight. It's a Monday Night Football game too. 6 straight road games with 100 yards or more. You'd be the first person in NFL history to do that. Just relax against Colts, okay? Just relax. Just chill.
Oh no, I can't do that.
Exactly. No, he can't.
Just chill. You know what I mean? Just we'll be there. Come say hello.
Yeah.
Come say what's up. You can sit with us for the game.
Yeah. There you go.
You can sit with us for the game. Yeah, just relax, dude. That's all you gotta do.
No, ain't gonna happen.
Not that one.
Yeah, no. Hopefully that just pissed him off. The thought of him taking it easy. He goes off for 200.
Pat's obviously a compa of the show. We love Pat.
Shout out.
And it's funny because Love you, Pat. I talked to Mike after. He's like, man, that fool was wild. And I was like, really? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I love the show. He's like, I think they're hilarious. He's like, but he's over here like, hey, come and take a seat with me. Nah, I gotta ball out, dude. He's like, there's playoffs on the line. There's a Super Bowl on the line. He's
That's
like, I gotta go out there
That's
and ball
right.
out.
That's right.
By the way, what he's talking about, what Pat McAfee was talking about is since last year, the last 5 road games that Mike Williams has played, he's had over 100 yards and a touchdown. There's been no NFL player in history to do it for 6 straight games. If he goes into Indy and he does it again for 100 yards, he'd be the first player in NFL history with over 100 yards in 6 straight away games. So that'd be interesting to watch. That'd be awesome for Mike Williams to do that. I mean, Dan, I still remember they selected him 7th. Everybody was mad. One receiver. We don't need that. We need this. We need that.
Yeah.
He hurts his back fresh his rookie year.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a bust. He's gonna be a bust.
Yeah.
Starts picking it up. A lot of hate was still thrown at him. 2021, Dan. I have a video. He's coming out of his break. He hits a sled, and he kind of does it a little bit. They're like, "Oh my God, that's so weak. He's gonna be so terrible this season. Don't even re-sign him." Mike obviously last year blows up, is one of the better receivers in the NFL.
Clutch. One of the
clutch quarter. Exactly. And all of a sudden everybody starts loving Mike again. And I was like, I was gonna bring that video up before he re-signed when he signed up his contract, but then I was like, no, never mind. I'm not petty like that. But I'm like, a lot of you guys hated him. Like, you guys did not want him on this team. And now him and Justin have found that chemistry.
Yep.
And it's probably one of the strongest in the league. So just pretty funny to see.
Bro, you know how that stuff goes. You know how that stuff goes. They will betray you as soon as they see a sign of weakness. You don't seem as good. And then they will love you at the first sign of you turning it around. It is what it is. It's the nature of the biz. But yeah, I definitely remember those days. Everybody getting all loud about it.
So funny. Okay, so there's good film and there's bad film. Which one do you want to see first?
Give me the veggies first.
All right.
Let's see what we got.
Okay, so this is shoot.
I just wanted to go win the game, Frau.
This is Jeffrey Simmons, you know, from the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley after the game.
I think his name's Casey, isn't it?
No, Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, okay.
After the game, Brandon Staley said he's one of the best.
Oh my God!
Linemen. So here we go. Watch this play. He's going up against Matt Filer.
Yeah. See, and this is what we talked about on Sunday. There was a lot of inside pressure. Look at that. Doing that. You see, that's already a problem right away. Go back real quick. Can you do that again? I think he lunges out there at him. He oversets. That's what opens up the inside. He oversets. Keep going. Yeah, he oversets right there. His feet go down. That's the problem, right? If he go back to where they start off, I think he's in it. Yeah, he's in a 3-tech right there. Yeah. 3-tech, what that means to people who might not know, it's just outside shade of the guard, right? So he's on my left side. I guess that's your right if you're watching. I don't know. So when you have that, what I always tell offensive linemen, right, is you play half the man. You want to make sure your outside shoulder is on his inside shoulder. That way you don't give the inside route to the quarterback, because the inside route to the quarterback is the shortest route to the quarterback. As you see right here, he gets into the son of Odin's face right away. So what you do when they're in a 3-tech, you just pick up your kick step and put it back down. You get in your pass pro and you wait for him to make a move. The best analogy, I don't know if I've said it here or not before, when you're in your pass pro, you're a Venus flytrap, right? A Venus flytrap for out, does it ever chase its prey, the fly that's moving around and everything? It waits for him to get in there, and he closes and he gets his grip on it, right? Same thing for offensive linemen. You kick step and you wait to see if he's coming upfield. Then you can kick. You can react late outside and still be fine, right? But what you don't want to do is overreact, overset, kick outside, and then you open up the inside window just like you see right here. And that was a problem. Should Josh Kelly have hit him? Let's see. Well, inside threat. Yeah, you got to take it. He's the first threat he sees. Oh, he's on a route. That's why. So no, He was probably the hot route, I guess, or something. But you see how he oversets. Then he's just terrible body positioning. You gotta always have light feet and move. You have to be able to move quickly. Have
Here
some
goes against
agility.
Filer again.
Let's see this one. Yeah, see here again. Real quick, look, just pause it right there. Oh, dang, you couldn't pause. That's all right. But look how his feet reverse, right? If you're in a left-handed stance, Frown, your feet should be like this. Your left foot is the one that's back. So if he starts coming upfield, you just kick, and you're moving like that, right? So say you kick, he comes inside, it's just this, right? Your feet never switch like this. Because the thing is, when you switch like this, you make your inside foot the kick step, and the quarterback's in the inside, right? On your kick step, you give up space, right? In your power step or your post step, you're not supposed to give up space. You're supposed to be a wall. So now when you invert that, when they're coming inside, it's a mess. He's going to kill your quarterback, and it's not going to be a good day for anybody.
This weekend they faced DeForest Buckner on Monday. Is this a good prep?
Talented.
Is this a good prep for going up against somebody like him?
Oh, you're talking about for Filer?
Well, no. Like Simmons obviously is one of the better defense. So is DeForest.
I think Buckner's a lot lighter and faster, so he's going to have his hands even more full. I think he's a little bit heavier and has more power. But
here's Filer again.
Oh, is this a run? Oh, that is terrible. That right there, Frau, for anyone who's watching, if you're listening, you should watch this on YouTube. He's basically pass proing. That is a cardinal sin for offensive linemen. You do not pass pro in the run game, even if it's a draw, right? Because look how he's just closing the hole. He's closing the hole. Like, you know, the whole point of the run blocking, right, is you got to be physical and at least move the guy 2 to 3 yards upfield. You don't have to drive him 5, 10, 15 yards. Just that little wiggle room just to create enough of a hole for him to squeeze through. That's why he makes the play right there. Look, he's just pass blocking. He's not, when you run block right, he's too high to begin with, which that obviously already makes me nauseous. But you want to be under your opponent's shoulder pads, engage. I like to bury my face mask into it, and just have the slightest lean. You don't want to lean too much because they can shuck you. So you lean a little bit, face mask in. You got your hands on their breastplate, and you're 6-inch steps, moving his ass all the way over with some power. That he was pass blocking in the run game. That's terrible.
Let's show you this last one. Simmons again on Filer.
Look how he's lucky he has backup right there. But like that's what I'm talking about. You have to be patient. Like, people always hear me say this and they probably laugh because they're like, oh, big stupid offensive lineman, all they gotta do is hit people. Playing offensive line is a science. It's all about angles.
Especially when you talk to Corey Lindsley.
Especially what?
When you talk to Corey Lindsley, that's the way.
Exactly. So he knows about it. It's a science. Like, you have to take the right steps towards your opponent, or you're gonna essentially make the play. You know, you're gonna give up a TFL. You got to put your helmet in the right place. You got to put your hands in the right place. If not, it's penalties and other things of that nature. It's a lot of little intricate, nuanced things. You have to be patient in the pass pro.
Last one. Can you see Zion on this play and tell me what you thought of the way he does?
Yeah. Let's see, I don't like because he's oversetting too. And look how he has no power. See, I don't like that body positioning right there because offensive lineman, you never want to stop your feet, even if they're bull rushing you, right? You never want to stop your feet. He oversets and he gives up the inside route. That's why he gets this sack. That's the biggest problem. He's not playing half the man. When he realizes he's coming at him for the bull rush, he doesn't readjust, right? He just kind of takes it and just kind of gets put on skates. You never want to do that. You want to there's two different techniques I like to teach, right? You either get under his shoulder pads, try and get under his shoulders, re-engage, and push him up like at an angle, right? Or the other one I like to do is when he strong arms like that, I just smash the wrist, right? Because naturally, if I'm power rushing and my wrist gets smashed, I'm naturally going to the ground. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't like that right there. Especially his feet go dead after he makes contact, and he just kind of opens up like this, like a robot. Doesn't even step. I don't like that right there.
You also played obviously defensive lineman. You know about the defensive line and everything. There's one guy that I think has been making very good strides as of late, and that's Braden Fayoko.
100%. I should have
really excited about him.
I was saying he should have been playing last year, but I'm not going to get into history, and I'm not going to get into who he should have gone in over.
Who should he have gone in over?
Oh, well, he's gone now. Jerry Tillery. That was abysmal what we saw last year.
And the Raiders got it. Well, never mind.
The Raiders got a taste of it too. Yeah.
Let's see Braden Fayoko on this play.
Put together.
Tell me what you see.
Yeah, let's see. I think he's been a stud. Yeah, see how he's under his shoulder pads. He shucks them. See, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about playing defensive line. You have got to learn. I always say the best defensive linemen were offensive linemen at one point, because look how that guy doesn't even close them off. He opens a window because his helmet's not on the right spot. His helmet's on the other side, or in the middle, or the other side. He needs to close that off and be more physical. And that's what allows him to shuck him, because his momentum is going that way anyway. Look, yeah, he doesn't close them off. Yeah, that was not very good. That was good on Fayoko's part, though. He shucks him and goes and makes the play.
I thought
Fayoko.
Yeah. What? No, I was going to say, I think Fayoko's been one of the bigger parts of why their run defense has gotten better.
100%. 100%. I think he should have been playing since last year. I mean, that's my humble opinion. I'm not in the building, so what the hell do I know?
Sometimes you value first-round draft picks too much, and an undrafted guy sometimes can make some noise, and you're just like, wow.
There's no better saying, Frau, than I heard this. I can't remember. I think it's about a UFC fighter or fighters in general. When you're, dirt poor on the come up, you are going to get your ass out of bed at 5 a.m. for those runs, workouts, XYZs. When you start getting the silk sheets, that's when it's like, oh, I'll hit the snooze. Oh, I'll go later. Oh, I'll do this. I'll do that. And I think sometimes you see that with first-round picks versus undrafted guys. The undrafted guys are hungry. The first-round pick guys are like, oh, I'm a first-round pick. I showed up. I've arrived.
What do you see here?
It doesn't work like that. Look how he's strong-arming him. Then he shucks him and he gets in there. Yeah. See, that's the whole thing. The biggest thing that a defensive lineman can do to frustrate an offensive lineman is, if he has natural strength, is strong-arm him, right? Because as long as you hold them away from you, they cannot grab your breastplate, which is the aiming point of all offensive linemen. So he does a good job of this. He keeps his eyes up, looking for the play. Essentially, he stuffs the hole that Derrick Henry wanted to go in, because, look, this guy bounces off the center's butt right there.
Another guy that shines in here, I don't know if you saw him, Kyle Van Noy. He's been having he's turned it on lately. He's having a good back end of this season.
Yeah, he knows that it's playoff time now. He knows the Patriots.
I think he told me one time, I can't remember which game it was. I think the San Fran game. I can't remember. He's like, I had a bad game, and I'm like, well, it's just about turning it on. He's like, well, that's one thing that I've learned through my career. If you can hit it like as a defense in the right time, everything's gonna come together, and it feels like everything's kind of coming together for this defense.
Yeah, and you see the big. Yeah,
go ahead.
No, my bad. I was gonna say the biggest thing always. A defensive lineman has won a matchup if they stand up offensive lineman. And that's what he does right there. I think he does a good job of that, not getting driven back like former first-round picks on this team did last year or this year when he was here. Look, he stands him up. He's right there waiting in the hole again, and then it's all about gang tackling. He's right there. A little too high on the tackle, but it is what it is. But he does a good job. He does a good job of not letting these guys eat him up.
Here's another quick one.
Because this guy's hungry. He's been on the team for 3 years, right? Or 2?
2.
Yeah, he's been on the team for 2. He's been waiting for a spot. He's been inching. Look, even on the double team, he gets under their shoulder pads. He's already trying to split them. Well, Kenneth Murray gets there early, so that helps him. This guy come off, but he splits them. Yeah, look, he splits them. He stands them up right in the hole. And that's what you want, right? Even when you're supposed to be there to eat up blocks, what you're supposed to do is try and split the difference between them, but you have to maintain leverage so they can't drive you back, right? Because if they drive you back, it's game over. They're at least going to get 2 to 3 yards. And you always want to, and he does a good job of that right there. He maintains leverage. He doesn't let them push him back, and he starts to move in to try and split the difference. Kenneth Murray comes in, and that's what allows him that little hole to get in there to stand up Derrick Henry.
Solid stuff. Thank you, Dan, for that breakdown. Obviously, that's some good stuff right there.
You know me, I love talking about offensive linemen.
So obviously, like we said, it's gonna be Nick Foles this weekend. That'll be an interesting matchup, or Monday. That'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the Chargers go in here with a 3-game winning streak, or a 2-game winning streak. I'm sorry. And just real quick before we head out, Just wanted to bring this fact up. So this weekend on Monday, the Chargers could clinch a wild card spot. They can clinch a playoff berth if they win, the Raiders lose or tie, that New England loses and the Jets lose, or the Chargers win, the Raiders lose or tie, that New England loses, the Jets tie, plus Miami loses, or the Chargers win, the Raiders lose, the Patriots tie, the Jets lose, and the Miami Dolphins lose.
I'm glad they have it
So
all covered.
obviously, it's an interesting. The Chargers obviously have the easiest strength of schedule remaining out of all of those teams that I mentioned. They play the Colts, then the Rams, and the Broncos. Just real quick, the rate. Let's see, what week are we in? Week 16. Just to give you guys an idea, the Jaguars play at the Jets, so that'll be an interesting matchup. Because obviously if the Jets lose, that's one step into gaining a playoff berth. Then let's see. Then it is Bengals at Patriots on Saturday. So if the Bengals beat the Patriots, that's one more for the Chargers. And then I think the Raiders play the Steelers on Saturday Night Football. So that'll be another interesting matchup. If the Steelers beat the Raiders, and if all those three teams lose and the Chargers beat the Colts on Monday, the Chargers are in the playoffs for the first time since 2018. So right now the Chargers control their own destiny. Let's see if they can take advantage of this.
Don't say two. Don't say that for now. They're fighting for their lives. Let them be hungry. No more. They're in control. Let them fight for their lives.
And now go Chargers, go.
There you go.
Well,
there you go.
It has to be said, like they control their own destiny. They can. Are you the same old Charger? Are you gonna end up losing the next three and then not going to the playoffs? And now there's gonna be questions on your head coach, questions on your general manager, or are you gonna finally put it together, get some guys back, and then head to the playoffs for the first time since 2018? That'll be interesting to see. But Dan, let's go now to your fantasy player to watch for. Who's gonna play a big game this weekend or on Monday?
I think the person who's gonna play a big game.
Are you gonna go with the guy that was on the Pat McAfee show?
Actually, yeah, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, I'll go with Mike Dubb. I think he breaks the record in Indy. I think he's fired up. I think he's hungry. I think he's tired of not going to the playoffs and everything else. I think all these guys are hopefully play good football and finally start putting it together offensively.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go Austin Eckler, Joshua Kelly. The last 2 weeks, Dalvin Cook, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, they've all eaten against the Colts. I think those Joshua Kelly and Austin Eckler are going to eat against the Colts this week too. I think they're going to be key. I think their Chargers need to not only run the football, but use these guys in the pass game also, screens. Maybe use Joshua Kelly in the backfield while Austin's out at receiver. Do different things.
We've been saying that all season too. You
I know.
see it.
I know. So they must not listen to What's Up, Bolts.
No.
So do a little bit of that, mix and match, and maybe these guys will be able to really put it together. Dan, who's your X Factor?
My X Factor? You saw a sneak peek of it earlier. Let me just open this damn thing up. Bada boom! That's my X Factor right there. Beautiful shirt from Homage. Thank you. God bless. Yeah, Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen's the X Factor because I think he's a big target always for Justin Herbert on third down. I think he's that safety blanket and everything else. You have to stay ahead of the chains to be successful. And on third down, you've got to get this guy open to get first downs. He's always been clutch on those third down, intermediate routes and everything else. That's going to be my X Factor, Keenan Allen, and keep the chains moving.
I'm going to go Khalil Mack. They have Khalil Mack, by the way. Khalil Mack and Derwin James will be starters for the Pro Bowl this year. So congratulations to both of them. They've been two big factors in this season for the Chargers defense. They've held it down. Khalil Mack has been kind of like he's done the grunt work, but he hasn't had that big flashy game in a while. So I think this is a big flashy game. I think he has 2 sacks, maybe a strip sack. and he gets back into it. He needs it. I'm hoping he gets 10. I mean, just because he's such a good guy and everything, and you talk to him in the locker room, and he's always really nice. I want to see if he can get to 10 sacks because I know before everybody's like, oh, he's washed up. Oh, he's not the same guy. He's proven that he's still one of the better pass rushers
100%
in the NFL.
You get Joey Bosa back.
Exactly.
I want to see that for at least a few games.
Exactly. So that'll be if they can get both Joey and Khalil going into the playoffs, they're going to be a dangerous duo, and they're going to be getting after teams. So I'm going to go with Khalil Mack. Dan, prediction time.
I know it's supposedly a trap game. There's no way the Chargers lose this, though. They have got to put it together finally. What better team to put your offense together than a team that struggled to put away opponents and make sure opponents don't score, right? This has got to be the game where it comes together. You're getting close to the wire. Chargers, I think, are going to win.
I agree with you. It is very concerning. The third, and it's funny because we ask, and it's like the guys say, "Oh, well, we have this. We need to do this. We just need to get more guys back." Blah, blah. I'm like, there's like it just you.
It
There's
goes
no
beyond that. 100%.
There's no more excuses you can make now.
No.
Like that third down offense or that third quarter offense is terrible. I don't know what it, and the only thing now you can really blame is Joe Lombardi because it's like why is it like it feels like teams come out of the half, they make good adjustments on the Chargers offense, and the Chargers don't make those adjustments on offense I'm not critical. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. And it's happened every single week since week 5. They have not scored a touchdown since that Cleveland game. And then in the fourth quarter, they score one touchdown to kind of put the other team away, and that's it. You can't be doing that. You need to be able to score automatically, go down the field, put up points. They haven't put up a 30-burger in a while, so they need to be able to score more points. They need to be able to move the ball up and down the field. Maybe this is the game they do it, but I do think they win. But if they continue to struggle in the third quarter, you're going to face teams that are in the playoffs that are not going to allow, like they're going to take that and they're going to slap you around if you do that. So
100%.
They need to be more cautious and they need to be better in the third quarter. If not, teams are going to pick them apart.
Because most importantly, besides scoring points, you have got to take time off the clock and make sure your opponent's offense doesn't have enough time or plays ran to get clicking and start playing the game that they want to play. You've got to give your defensive side of the football rest also, and you got to do it because that's the way you win championships. That's the way you got to do it. You got to march down the football, not just 60-yard bombs and this and that. You got to march down the football, eat clock, tire out their defense, and obviously let yours rest.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. Folks, thank you guys so much for checking out another episode of What's Up, Bolts. Don't forget, we have teamed up with Homage. Go check out their gear. They have so many good Charger stuff like Dan showed. Cool t-shirts. Go check them out. They're in the link below. Don't forget, if we get to 200 subscribers, Hilberto will mail you that t-shirt. Once we pick a winner, he'll mail one lucky fan a t-shirt and a Justin Herbert t-shirt, which is obviously awesome. And don't forget, guys, check out our other shows. Regular Compas on the Beat. We had a Compas Christmas this week. We break down obviously week 15, preview week 16, and then some other. We got some fun stuff to talk about as well. Don't forget to check out Compas FC. We break down this week. Is Lionel Messi the GOAT? Well, that's what we talk about. I know there's going to be some controversial takes, but that's what we're here at the Compas. No, we bring the facts. So obviously, if
we're not huge pundits, you're not going to get anything fake or safe for social media from us. That's for sure.
Exactly. So that's the thing is that at Compas FC, we just give it to you the way we think. So so that's on other people if they don't like it, which we've been seeing. So it's all fun. It's exciting. We love that new show. It's definitely. We hope to take it off, and please check that one out. Don't forget to check out also House of Horn, see what Gilbert and Vic, the producer, are doing over there. The Rams, I think, play the Mr.
Very limited. Not Dangerous Russ at handle. It needs to change his Twitter handle.
They play on Christmas Day, so Gilbert will have everything for you.
I'm sure
on
all
that
his
game.
teammates will show up to his Christmas party at his house.
And then and then also, guys, once the holiday season's kind of over, Combat Compas will be making we'll be going back to doing a lot more Combat Compas. So we're definitely excited about that. AEW is coming to LA. WrestleMania is coming to LA, so we're gonna have a lot of really cool stuff. Boxing, UFC, we're gonna have it all. So don't forget to check all that stuff out. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget, be a compa, tell a compa, like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys like, what you guys don't like. If you guys have any questions for me or Dan, make sure you leave it in the comment section. We will get to it next episode. We appreciate you guys so much. Again, don't forget, be a compa, tell a compa. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Thank you guys so much. The one thing that Dan and I keep on saying we're thankful for is the fact that you guys listen to us, and we truly appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts here at What's Up Bolts. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. We hope everybody has a great holiday season. Thank you guys so much, and thank you guys for rocking with us.